welcome back to the You Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? I mean, to let people behind the curtains, we've just taped 2 episodes.
Yes.
So we're at our, I think we're at our, our most loose,
yes.
Would you say?
We're gonna bring it. We're gonna bring it.
I'm not saying tired, but I am a little tired.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. But I'm at my most, this would be like turning on the podcast for Red Flag Deal Breaker when it's like,
right.
when we're at our most honest.
We've warmed up.
Right. But I haven't even asked you, how are you? What's going? End of summer.
End of summer.
It feels the end of summer, doesn't it?
It does. I'm about to go to France.
Fra.
Sorry, Fra.
Sofra?
I'm about to go to Sofra in a couple days.
I mean, it has been the summer of Fra.
It is.
Us
France.
going to Cannes and then the
so
Olympics.
Trendy right now.
It's so
yes.
in. And
Did you watch the Olympics?
I tuned in. It was great background.
Yeah.
Great for people who have anxiety, I think.
Why?
Because what you want, and I'm not an anxiety guy. I would say on the spectrum of anxiety, but you
have anxiety about something.
Something. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I wouldn't call you a no anxiety guy.
Right. I'm not.
For a Jewish person, you have lowish anxiety.
Right. Comparatively, it depends who I'm hanging out with.
Yeah.
But I would say if you're like a chatter in the background, just something on. I love live TV being on in the background. When I go to a hotel, I want Sports Center on. I just want something live to make me. This is why I fear the end of cable television. I like a commercial from the local commercial being on. I like knowing.
Okay, Boomer.
I'm Mr. Jared Boomer Freed. That's me. I don't know. I like to know what minute it is based off of the window being open and the TV being on. And I think for the Olympics, if you're like me, you're like, yeah, put on synchronized swimming on while I'm at my computer, so that was the way I kind of consumed it. It was just on.
Right.
Did you watch it?
Same kind of way. Mike would have it on, and then I would kind of catch parts of it. It is kind of incredible what these people can do.
When are they doing this? When do these people? It is one of those things. These aren't offered at school.
No, you have to be.
You have to pursue it.
You have to be in it from when you're 3.
Right, in it from 3, and then keep doing it and pursuing it.
Yeah, you have to be a very certain kind of personality.
Absolutely, to be I want to go to the pool and learn how to dance inside the water.
Right. Who cares about prom?
Right.
I'm going to the Olympics.
That should be every T-shirt. Who cares about prom?
Basically.
Well, I think about that with the gymnastics women become very famous every year. That's the U.S. gymnastics.
Team USA.
Team USA gymnastics. And they're the most that of, you can do gymnastics in high school, but you're not a professional basketball player. You're not a mainstream sport. Mm-hmm. And then you become this celebrity and you're man, they got to have a different thing going on. Allie Raisman from Needham High, Needham, Massachusetts. There's a street named after her in my hometown.
Allie Raisman Street?
Allie Raisman Way. It was right near where my parents' house was.
That's very cool. When are they going to name a street after you?
I'm wondering myself. No, it is funny, though. She's the most famous Needham
person.
The Olympian becomes a home hero.
Right.
She is beloved and should be.
The whole country.
The whole country. An American. Yeah. She is considered an American hero.
Yes.
I think her uncle used to play basketball at the JCC with my dad.
And 4 degrees of Allie Raisman.
That's right. But I'm saying it is interesting the way they become positions in society. They become Hunger Games winners. The way they, and it is impressive. It's just so weird. Their fame, their notoriety, it's forever.
Yeah. Especially when they're as famous as the gymnasts.
Right. The gymnasts Simone Biles, she's the greatest Olympian of all time at this point. In that group,
mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I'd interviewed Tara Lipinski.
That's another name that everyone will know forever.
Forever, yes, American hero, forever.
Right. And their place in society is just so interesting. Mm-hmm. You're not a celebrity, but you are for this very specific thing that you can't do again.
Well, it's you're the best in the game.
Right,
best in the game.
The best in the world.
Yeah,
the planet. And you dine off it. That's the other thing, forever.
Right.
Like, you know, I think of
You don't have
Allie
to
a
do
lot.
anything else again for the rest of your life.
Right. Did she go to Needham High? Can we look this up? I don't even know if she went to Needham High. She probably, that's what I'm wondering. She's
It's
from
so funny
Needham.
they named the street after her. She's like, I'm not even
I'm not even from
here.
there. I went to
Yeah.
boarding school. You know, like I think I
There's
started
no connection or ties to this town.
Right. Who's Needham cares? That is another thing.
Yeah.
She's like, people in Needham are talking. I wonder if she has a connection to Needham. She went to Needham High? That's crazy. Just a couple
Just
of
like
rockets. Me and Allie.
How old is she?
How old? Yeah. She 52? No.
She's 30.
She's
Okay.
30, so
And
we
you
were
missed-
never
you
in
missed her.
in high school together. So my brother wasn't in high school
She
with her.
finished senior year virtually while training for
Oh.
the
Virtual.
Olympics.
See, that's a different
I
life.
wish I were cool enough to not actually. That's what I'm saying. No prom.
No prom.
No prom.
You were right.
Forget it. Who cares about prom?
Who cares? Who needs prom?
Yeah.
We gotta send Allie Raisman that. Has she ever come in here to Betches?
I don't think so.
She's someone I think just the Needham thing is just again when you have a hometown Olympian,
Hometown hero, yeah.
gold medalist.
Everyone knows like the people who were famous from there.
right?
Yeah.
No,
Mike grew up next door to Jamie Lynn Siegler.
really.
Yeah, it was his next door neighbor.
Next door neighbor.
Next door neighbor.
That's a big
Shared
one.
a fence.
That's
Big one.
that's like a lot of like young men's like first crush.
Yeah,
She's in like the Topanga world.
totally.
You know,
Yeah,
like
of the Soprano, darker show, but
right,
yeah.
but no, but
Right.
she was a famous of an era.
Totally.
Oh my God! Yeah, who's your hometown? Did you have like me? My high school also. Jessica Simpson's husband, Eric Johnson,
Not as big of a
not
one.
a big deal, but I'm saying these are the names I got.
Sure.
Everyone's got the
Yeah,
ones that they
they've
think,
got We've got Jen Selter.
Jen Selter, the ass that changed the internet.
Yes.
And you, people probably say,
Me,
I have that to,
Alina and Sammy.
right.
The three of
I have
us,
people say
yeah.
that to me. The Betches are from my hometown.
Betches. They won't even put us on the Wikipedia page.
Really?
Really?
That is insulting.
That's insulting, right?
That's anti-woman.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
I mean,
I'll say it.
I'm
a feminist.
Bernie Madoff's sons also went to Roslyn High School,
And they're in the Wikipedia?
Wikipedia.
That's fucked
We're
up.
not. Oh, the guy who owned the Mets, Jeff
Wilpon?
Yeah, he's from there.
I think his kids went to Cedar too. Went to my summer camp.
Wow.
The summer camp alumni, we have a lot of
I'm sure.
names. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Who's the most famous person that went to your camp?
we have a lot. The guy who owns he's like a billionaire. The guy who owns Harry's Razors.
I don't know that. That doesn't. Is that a household name?
Raider. Michael Raider, yeah.
Michael Razor.
Michael Razor, yeah. That was a big one. Yeah, well, the Cedar guys, everyone goes to
Yeah.
money. Everyone's like, who's the richest? You know,
Right.
like, Dr. J's son, who used to go to my summer camp.
Who's that?
Dr. J, the most famous. He passed. You know, so
I don't know who he is.
I mean,
Dr. J of
Corey
what?
Irving. You know, these are names.
I know a Dr. Dre.
No, Dr. J. Julius Irving? Are you kidding? He used
Is
to
that
at
the
visiting
Jewish-
day. He would play basketball against all the Jew dads.
Is a basketball player?
Yes.
Oh.
One of the best of all time, Hall of Famer.
Okay.
There's a lot of names for the
Dr. J?
I can't even. I don't even know how to respond to
Guys,
this as a
have you-
question.
No, none of the.
I'm surrounded
one-
by women.
This is not a.
What is
this is not. But
Now I agree with the Roslyn Wikipedia page.
Yeah, we don't deserve it. We
Right,
don't deserve it.
yeah.
Wait, so how are you wrapping up your summer?
Lot of martinis, as I've told you. I
Mm-hmm.
almost had a panic attack the other day. I don't know where that came from.
So you're wrapping
We-
up the summer with panic attacks and martinis.
Martinis.
That's on the menu.
Cleveland. I'm going to Cleveland.
Wow.
Toronto.
I don't envy the
Not
end of
the
your
South of
summer.
France.
I don't.
The summer's been
The Riviera, the United States Riviera, Cleveland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have the Redneck Riviera, which is down in Florida. My summer is wrapping up with
How's dating?
dating's okay. I mean, if you go listen to You Up with Benefits, that's out.
Right. We already kind of
We
went through
it
How many
is
dates do you go on a week?
Worth a listen. Not many. You know, I've gone on one or two
Okay.
a week, maybe.
That's fair. That's the average.
Um,
How many dates do you think someone should go out on?
in a week?
Yeah.
I think one or two is probably
Enough,
appropriate.
yeah.
Second dates. You know, there's sometimes you're on a second date with one person and a first date with another. We're going to talk about that. We're doing a lightning round today. This is going to be like a quick, fun You Up podcast.
Yeah.
One of the questions kind of revolves around this, and it's hard.
It is.
It's hard to like not. I think the dating gets exhausting. Not because a lot of times it's because do they like me? Do I like them? There's just a lot of like mind churn that if you're in a relationship, you're not even thinking of that.
Right.
You know, like when you're like married, you're like, I like him, he likes me. Okay, that's out of the way.
But
now I
everyone,
can.
you have a new problem. You know, everyone has got,
Not to say
yeah.
no problems. I'm just saying.
Right.
It
is. It takes them. There's a mental load that goes along with dating. It's not just going on the dates. It's the thought process. And
right. And am I doing the right thing by someone? Do I really want to be on this date? Should I be on it? Even if I'm even asking the question?
Right.
Should I even be pushing myself to go? Dating is just, and it's like this time of year too, you're like, I don't know. I just want to be like, I think, you
want to be like 5 dates in with someone?
You want date 1 to feel like date 3. And when it doesn't, you're like, this is a nice person, but maybe I should, I don't know. When can I just stand up and go, enough? We're done, right? Like you can't do that.
Right. It's if only you were on Next.
Right.
MTV's Next.
Next. Imagine.
They drag them out of the restaurant.
I would love for a woman to next me. Yeah. Next. I'd be like, what? It's over? I'd be like, okay. Ta-ta. Good to know. Right. That's the dream. But that's the thing. Lack of efficiency in dating.
Right.
Is like,
you got to stay the whole night.
Well, a lot of people, I had someone text me last night. It was a guy. He was on a date and he was just like, he goes, I'm just trying to drink non-alcoholic. And every restaurant I go to, no, there's no alcohol, sir. Ugh. And then I'm like, and I felt for him because he's like, I'm going on a lot of dates. It seemed like he was going on a lot of dates and it wasn't he didn't want to drink. It's just like, don't want to drink on every single date. But I want to go out with them. And this is the other thing.
But you want to, here's the thing. Maybe if you don't want to drink on every single date, but you also you want to go on the date like ready to like have a good time, not like self-conscious about what or else it doesn't feel as fun.
Feel comfy. I want to, and then you're like, am I giving someone a date that they think that I leveled them somehow? Like I invited someone on a date, let's get coffee. And I was like, I know how I sometimes know too much, but I was genuinely like, let's get coffee. This is a mid-afternoon, have a coffee. And we got coffee. And then I was like, there's actually a wine bar down the street. We met. And then I go, there's a wine bar down the street. We took a walk, got some wine. It turned into a longer date. I don't know. I'm like kind of in the camp of like, some of these first dates just need to be like.
You want to just start off more casual.
Yeah. Just like, let's have coffee and like chit chat and I don't know. That should be.
There was like normal speed dating.
Right. The premise of a dating app would be nice to be like, they just give you a place to meet and the timer's on your phone of 15 minutes. And at the end of the 15 minutes, you can press like green for go, red for stop. And then if on the app, it would just be like, if it doesn't match for green for both.
Then no one has to speak to each other ever again.
You just like hit green and they hit red. So it just goes, eh.
I think we've got our next,
there it is.
Our next You Up mixer idea.
Right. 15 minutes. We're going to meet for coffee for 15. I just wish the first date was.
Then we decide if we want to re-up.
Right. Because really when you meet someone in a bar or in public, that is the first date.
Right.
That's date 1.
If you meet them in real life.
Right. So the app is like conjuring. You're trying to conjure something, a date 2 without having the date 1. Which, and people don't think about that with a dating app. They think, oh, we're going on a first date. Right. No one's ever thought of like the first date.
You're trying to get to like date 2, which is the whole point.
So I don't know. I'm tired. I'm on the road. I don't know.
Why don't you take the rest of the summer off from dating?
From the whole thing?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Come back in the fall refreshed.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Feeling fit.
Feeling excited.
I'm excited for the football season. My brother is on Hard Knocks.
I saw.
It's on HBO. You can see him like here and there.
They had his
name.
You seem proud.
I am ecstatic for him. He's a coach with the Bears. Bear down. Let's go Bears. I don't know if I talked about it here.
A
little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, he was sleeping on my couch trying to work in the NFL.
Right. You're like that person that's always reminding the person where they
don't forget.
Don't get too big for your britches. We all remember when you were sleeping on my couch.
You on that couch telling me, and he's married and his wife works in sports television, and she like does the post game show.
Big sports couple.
Big sports couple. So I'm gonna go like it. we were talking about on You Up with Benefits. If you guys are subscribers, we kind of touched on this of like, you get to a certain age and you have like a little bit of ability of like to spend some money. You have friends that are now out of first few years of marriage with kids. They can do a couple things.
Okay.
And then you have your own work. Plus you're like, I got to fit in meeting someone. So I think this happens like, this is a very post-30s version of the You Up podcast. Maybe someone who's 27 can't really understand where I'm coming from. But the idea that like there's like a golf weekend that's coming up that like my friends are putting together. I'm like, oh, okay, I can go to the golf weekend. Then Sunday I'll wake up, I'll take a flight to Chicago. I'll go to opening week of the Bears. I'll fly home that night. And I'm like, that's like September 8th is the date.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like September 6th, the 5th, I'll go to the golf. I'll do, the 8th. And that would be a fantastic weekend. I'm asking college friends, like, does anyone want to come? I can get us tickets to the Bears game. We'll fly out Sunday night, whatever. We're like,
Yeah,
and
that sounds great.
Great. But this is an adult 39-year-old plan I'm trying to make.
Right.
Where if I had like my friends are like, I gotta just make sure I check this out with wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's their
right.
concern. And my concern, not the same, but not bad, not better or worse, probably easier.
His work?
No, it's like, when do you meet someone through all that? Like when do you...
What about a setup from one of your friends?
Do you have a setup? Do you got...
No, I don't right now.
You got
I
one?
don't right now.
You got one for me? Please.
At this very moment, I don't. But like, what about all like the people that you're meeting out? Like, you kind of advice you give to other people of like,
right.
You're fun, you're out. Other people think of you.
Yeah, I just, it doesn't come up with them. They're so...
Well, men aren't asking each other for setups.
No, if I said to the group at golf, if anyone knows any of your friends that have gotten divorced, they would, it's
Or
just
like
a different space of life. I
Your
think they're
wife's
like...
sister. Whatever.
Wife's sister? Now I got to be at my friends' Thanksgivings. No, it is advice I would give.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it now. I'm like, I don't know. There is a thing, especially like, my friends are scattered around the country a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
you and I have a different
That's true.
thing where you have like...
'Cause I'm from New York.
You have this New York group that is from Long Island to New York, back to Long Island, which
Right.
I actually envy a lot of. Like, I do think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, like, I'm like putting together this trip. I'm like, people are coming from like DC, Pittsburgh, Philly,
That sounds great,
Connecticut. It's good.
I'm glad you're going. I feel like you've been skipping a lot of the social stuff.
I've skipped it forever. This is why, someone, this is my stand-up and comedy is my having kids.
Right.
Got
to check with the booker at the Comedy Cellar.
Right.
see if we can
Esty, I'll be back next week, I promise. So that's what's going on. This like kind of like figuring out how to be an adult who does adult things while also this childish thing of dating.
Yeah. I think you should take the rest of the summer off, come back in the fall,
Right.
and enjoy these like trips and just hanging out.
I think you're right.
I feel like people are always better when after their little break.
Yeah, I think the rest of August is a good time for a break.
Totally.
Plus, the apps I was getting, it just never felt right. But I'm on the road. If you're listening right now, this is all to say, Cleveland this weekend, and then Austin, Raleigh, Rochester has been moved, St. Louis, Dania Beach for Thanksgiving, Batavia in Illinois. Anything going on with you and Betches? Did Naomi get home?
She got home on Saturday. She switched her flight from Friday to Saturday because they kept saying it might get canceled because of the thing, so you can have the option to switch your flight.
Just do it at that point.
Well, that's what she did. She's like, I'm not going to show up with 3 kids to the airport at like 4 a.m. to go back.
No, I can't.
So
I wouldn't wish
switched
that
it.
on my worst enemy.
Stayed an extra day, and she's back.
Love it.
Yep.
Go listen to Oversharing. It's a fantastic show.
Check it out.
All right, let's get into it. Let's jump into these
All right.
lightning round advice questions. These are from you, the listener. We're just going to go through a bunch. We got them all sitting in front of us. You ready?
Let's do it. All right, I'll start. My boyfriend and I will be moving in together this fall. I'm super excited to take this step with him. He's a big football fan, and I know he plans on watching the games pretty much all day long when football season starts. My question is, how do I not get annoyed with him having football on all the time? He says that he will make time to do things with me, and I believe him. But I feel myself getting annoyed just with him tuning into the preseason games. Any advice would be appreciated.
I mean, sounds like they got an issue.
I used to have this issue.
Really? Just it
Yeah.
being on annoyed you?
Not being on, but I could see also you're being like a little ignored if it's on. It's not like you're spending a Sunday together.
Right. Well, this is like the tropey sitcom relationship issue. I spend my Sundays watching football, and I want to go apple picking.
Yeah.
You know, that's like what are we gonna
the naggy
do?
girl, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It's naggy girlfriend shit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but it is based in truth. So
Sure.
I see what
There's a reason.
Yeah, and I think especially in the beginning of dating, where you're like you don't feel that secure necessarily. You're like, oh, you want to spend an entire day of the 2 days that we have off,
Right.
doing something that has nothing to do with me.
I get it. I can I just say, I guess let me be the boyfriend of all the women listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you my feelings on football. Okay. And I have never been, and it's a little similar to the cable TV thing that I mentioned earlier.
Let's hear it.
I just want people to know that I've never come on here as a rah-rah sports guy. Like do you think of me as sports idiot?
I think you're casual. I think you're a great level of being into sports.
Right.
You do have a Tom Brady framed picture in your bathroom.
I
But
do.
Other than that, totally
Every
normal.
day I take a shit while staring at Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady.
But I will say, so thank you. I believe what you say.
Okay.
You would not know that every podcast I listen to is sports related.
Okay.
Every podcast I listen to is probably football focused more than other sports. I spend all day watching football. I love Sundays. I love it being on.
Mondays and Thursdays?
Mondays, it's on. Thursdays, it's on. Saturday, NCAA,
That's
it's
the issue
on.
with it.
But I'm not tuned in, but it's on. So, and I have to tell people how much, because I read this question.
Would you do an activity, though?
Yes.
On one of those days.
I'm okay missing games, but I am up to date on everything going on football-wise.
Okay.
And I'm saying this as someone who, if you've listened to this show for years, you know that I haven't really been
You sound similar
Johnny
to Mike,
football.
I would say.
Right.
Similar to Mike in terms of how into it he is. Are you in fantasy leagues?
I'm in one fantasy league.
He's in
I
like
bet
few.
on the games. He's in a few. But I'm saying I'm not cheering at the TV face painted. So I'm telling this from normal bro land.
Mm-hmm.
I actually football being on puts me at ease.
Okay.
It makes me feel better.
Me and the housewives.
This is what I'm saying. It's chatter.
Right.
And it's if I've made this tweet every year. I go, when I see football on TV at a bar, it's like a cool comforter I'm getting under.
Right.
There's protection in it. There's consistency. You plan your week by it, and you know that there's something to get talked about each week, and what's the big game coming up. It adds consistency to my life. So I'm saying to this woman writing in, where even it being on annoys you, I think you have to look at it from a different lens. Unless he's clapping at the TV and being a piece of shit, I think you need to take a casual interest in this is actually mental health for him.
Right.
You're moving in together, and it being on might not mean as much to him as the game might not mean as much to him as it just being on.
Right.
No,
I think that definitely helps. And I would say on a practical level, that's a great mental exercise to tell yourself. On a practical level, I used to have this issue, and then I sort of changed my thought process around it, and now it's Sunday is the day that I do whatever I want.
Right.
That's and that's kind of healthy too. It's Sunday, this is his thing. I'm gonna go do all my errands, work out, get lunch with my friends.
Right.
And I think that once you feel secure and once you're living together, it's okay to have a day where you guys do your own thing.
Right. And this is to add on, this is how he connects with friends too.
Right.
This is the thing they talk about. So if he misses out on
it from him.
right, I do think there's levels to this. Do you know what I mean?
If he's a crazed lunatic, that's
right. I would want to know, what are the teams I need to be aware of that you need to watch? What are the teams that you don't need to watch?
Right.
Where you can.
It's annoying if he can't not watch it. If you have something like there's a Sunday thing,
Right. Well,
it's gonna need to go.
This is the great negotiation
like
of
I'm not
relationships.
going to lunch with your
Right.
mom because
Right.
game's on.
But if it's like, hey, why aren't you cuddling me? And it's 1:00 and that's when his team plays.
Right.
Maybe we postpone to 4:00. Maybe hey, Sunday, I know you're watching football all day and it's going to be on. Let's plan dinner.
Right.
Like understand you're right. Your answer is the practical good.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm coming from the woo-woo land of like understand your beast that you're
I think
fighting with.
That's good.
So you don't get resented.
Right. Well, whenever Mike's like distracted on his phone and I'm like, well, what are you doing? He's like, something with fantasy, whatever.
Right.
And then I'll say, I thought I was your fantasy. And I say this joke every time. I always think it's funny. He doesn't think it's funny.
I think it's funny.
But
But it's a good, it is like, it's like, you ever see those memes where it's like, you're worried about your guy and then you find out what he's actually doing?
we just talked about this on when we were talking about Knocked Up.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Right.
Leslie Mann catches Paul Rudd, her husband. She thinks he's cheating on her.
Right.
And she like goes and follows him and brings them. And then he's actually just doing like, was it like fantasy stuff?
It was like a
kinda?
fantasy
Yeah.
football
Right.
draft or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Right. And she says it's worse than cheating.
Because he wants to hang with them.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to hang out with her.
Yeah. And so, but I guess that's got to be part of the conversation. Like, if you want to bring this to him, like, I just want to feel wanted to hang out with.
Right.
And
And you can do this, but let's also make sure that the other things are
Right.
there.
So, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
How do I tell a woman I'm dating about my foot fetish and how I'd love to lick them and suck her toes without coming off creepy? Well, do not do this. This question might not help that.
Yeah, I wouldn't phrase it like that.
Hey, I got a foot fetish and I love to lick them and suck on your toes. I wouldn't do that.
I think there's a way to ease into this in a classy way.
I loved what the YouTube commenter, and I'm not usually one to say this, the YouTube
Read them
commenter.
the YouTube comment.
Well, they made a great point between kink and fetish.
Okay. Fetish is like you can't get off without it. Is that what that means?
I think there was a distinction. Yeah, I think
Kink is like it's like you're fine without it, but you like
but
it.
this would enhance your sexual
Right.
pleasures, and fetish is like,
I can't get off without it.
Right. So
Okay.
I think
That
like
is a different level.
it's a different level, and it makes me like, oh, okay, I can understand how someone's like, yeah, not every night is foot night. Like, I think that's something he has to like impart. I think that's the way to make it not creepy. Is like, this would turn me on, but it's not something I need.
Well, if it's
But
a fetish, it kind of might be. Right?
Well, I don't know the level that he needs.
right.
But how would you want if you're dating Mike, you're a month in,
Mhm.
and he gets off? And here's the thing: we have to admit
Yeah.
this is a reality. We can't just sit here ignoring it.
Sure. I would say I wouldn't want to hear about this the first time we're having sex.
Right. The first time is for trust and communication and
Yes,
feeling
and,
each
like,
other out. Let's see how we
It's
kiss.
not for
Yeah.
like getting, I think, exactly what you need sexually
Mm.
necessarily, personally. The first time.
Right.
I think like once you're more comfortable with them, I think if someone brought this up to me is like one thing that really turns me on
Mm.
is feet. I wouldn't call it. I feel like when you use the word fetish, it has this whole
It adds a lot of barriers. and
like
it-
connotation and like they're like
Well, again-
they've taken pictures of your feet and they're looking
Right.
at it like I
well,
don't know, it
he
just
wouldn't
has-
be there if he didn't like the feet.
No, I'm sure.
You know, a month in, you have to. There is a little bit
I
of
think
a
you
coming
start
out.
off with like I love your shoes. Like your feet
Right.
look great in those shoes. And then like I think if someone that I was dating that I was like into was like I get turned on by like a hot pair of feet. If they
Mm.
started with that, I would start wearing some open-toed shoes.
You
more.
would
I
play
would
it up.
Yeah, I
Well,
get it's not like a,
listen, I would do anything to be fetishized.
You
I would do
would,
anything
yeah.
for someone to be like, you are something. You're the thing I've been looking for. Like,
Right.
I think it would be nice.
Yeah, but I think it's important.
But
to,
I
like,
understand
think
why
to
it's
not come
not.
off like creepy, which is his fear, right?
I think
Without
the
coming
wo-
off creepy, right?
there-
I think the easing in
Mhm.
and the feeling and like the making of the sexual thing sort of like about you and less about.
Right. Well, you and I agree.
Mhm.
Vulnerability is key.
Mhm.
Like, you got to make it. You got to like let them. You got to also understand that it's not for everybody.
Right.
You have to like. There has to be self-awareness
Yeah,
in
and
the-
they might not be. I mean, if it's a fetish and like the other person said it's a sexuality and they're totally not into that, they might not be for you.
Right. And that's okay too. That always has to, like, in a negotiation, you always have to be willing to walk away from the table
Totally.
to have any power.
Mhm.
So if I was this person, I think this is like, again, we got to bide your time. It can't be like, I've been looking at your feet all day
Yeah.
and like date one. I wouldn't, but if you're like out here looking for sex, it can be date one, but you're probably on the wrong apps and you're doing this wrong. Like if you're,
I mean, if it's date one, then like do whatever you want and see if it works.
well,
Like,
well,
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
would be respectful, like,
yeah, but I'm saying like if it's like if it's very clear for both of you that you're just trying to hook up.
right. This is, well, then that's,
Go on
reveal.
Field.
Hey, Field would be the place for this person. Right. Because you go on Field, every bio is just like
Right.
a
But I think
the descriptions of what people are into, right away.
Yeah.
So,
I would tell myself though, let me be a little more prude than being on field, but I could still be open to this if approached the right way.
This is my point. I think if you're like a month in with someone, you've had a great time together so far, maybe you're in a, I would say like go out for drinks with the person you're seeing and just like get the conversation going
vulnerable.
towards a little bit more sexual. Hey, are you enjoying what we're doing? I would ask, are you enjoying our relationship sexually? Is there anything more I could do for you? Is there something that you would enjoy that I haven't done? I think these are all like kind of good conversation
what do you
starters.
like? Yeah, even if you don't have a foot fetish, I think that's a great thing.
Right. Peaks and pits,
ask,
as you say. This is.
What was the pit of our last sexual experience?
I would want to know that.
I would never tell someone that.
If I'm a month in with someone and we're sexually active,
Yeah.
I would be like,
What's an example of something you
tell
would
me
say?
to stop fucking doing this. Is there something that I do that you don't like? Is
Okay.
there something I do that you like?
Sure.
Is there something that I'm not doing?
If someone said if there's something that I'm doing that you don't like, I would assume there's something I'm doing that they don't like.
Right.
Like that was.
It's a game of 3D chess.
That's like the do you want a mint? Of,
Right. Well. I guess that's the whole point of this conversation is go towards the sexy stuff. I would love to talk about our, the sex we're having. You want to let someone know you're having a good time, but there's other things I like in the bedroom that I don't know if you're into or be open to.
Totally. And I would also make it complimentary. Like if they assume if he's with this person, he likes their feet.
Right.
I would. That's why I'm like,
I've been
if you
watching
make it
you.
personal to me, it feels
Yeah.
less creepy. Like,
Right.
Or it feels more like about us and less about you, like getting off randomly or behind closed doors.
Right. But this is why the vulnerability and the awareness of like, it might not be for everyone. This is something that like, it's not something I go need every night, and I think what they need to do is explain the whole picture of the foot thing, and if if the person you're talking to is asking questions, you're winning.
Totally.
Because then they're like figuring it out. And I do agree. Like if someone was like, Jared, your feet, like
Do it for me.
Do it for me. And they're all I think about. I would be like, I would be feet up on the table, looking at them, like knowing that they're like getting
flip flops every night.
Flip flops every night. Heel shit. Let's go to another one.
Guy dumps you because he doesn't like you romantically, quote unquote. That's harsh.
What is he going to say?
But continues to reach out and now says he just wasn't ready for someone like you 7 years later. Is it foolish to give him another shot?
The 7 years later is the only thing that changes my opinion on this question.
I'm surprised he would originally tell her, I don't like you romantically.
To me, on the spectrum of true and false, it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I'm taking the emailer at their word, but I don't know how that doesn't like you romantically came about. I have had too many situations on this podcast where someone says, hey, this isn't working for me. I really like you, but but I'm just not ready for a relationship.
Right,
And then
maybe
they
they
go,
take
well,
that
what does
as-
that mean? What do you mean? Well, I don't know what I'm not ready for a relationship. You don't like me?
Romantically?
Romantically, right. Like, I don't know what was, because
Okay,
that's a
fair.
little too clean and simple for me.
I mean, she put it in quotes, which is the only reason
Right.
it was like.
So let's say it's absolutely true. Hey, we're dating. And if someone said to me,
Like
I
you
don't.
sexually, but not romantically. Maybe
Right.
that's what that means. Sure.
That's what
Okay.
that's how I take it.
Fair.
So if you're asked to give an answer 7 years ago, so you're younger and less mature,
Right.
hopefully, than you are today, I could understand 7 years later, you come back, I would say it's not on the
foolish to give him another shot? No.
Not foolish.
Not foolish.
It's
but
foolish to
But
jump
don't-
right in
but
as
never
if-
forget.
Right. Foolish is forgetting.
Yeah.
It's not foolish.
Right.
It's foolish to go about it the same way you went back the last relationship.
Standards are a little higher this time.
Right. And
You'll
is
know
he-
a little sooner.
well, it's so funny. This question is so like minimized.
Mhm.
Is it foolish to give him another shot? Now, what's the shot he's asking for?
He just wasn't. Also, like, yeah, he says he just wasn't ready for someone like you. I would say, what does that mean to you?
Right.
What does someone like me mean to you? What does that mean?
Right. It's foolish to ask no questions.
Yes.
It's foolish to say to hook up with him.
Yes,
Because this
don't
came
hook
over
up
DM
until you have more clarity on that.
Right. There's versions of this that aren't
Right.
foolish, and there's versions of this that are foolish.
Is it foolish to get dinner? No.
Absolutely not. Is
Right.
it foolish to go out to dinner with him? He says nothing about this and the breakup, and then you fuck? Yeah, that's probably
That's
pretty
foolish.
foolish.
That's foolish. Yeah.
It's an interesting question because of how many
Well,
tentacles
what if it
this
was
could-
1 year later? I still think.
Still
that's
think
fine.
not foolish.
I still think same rules apply.
I totally agree.
Yes.
The guy comes back 7 years later who said, I don't like, the fact that 7 years ago, you're remembering something he said 7 years ago. I think you're a little foolish for holding on to that sentence from 7 years ago.
Well, I don't think I disagree with that.
Okay.
I think that like if someone, because again, we're always looking for like the why.
Right.
You ended it why. It doesn't like, there's no like clear answer. So if you really like someone and then they end it with you and you're like, well, why? And they're like, I just don't see it romantically, which I guess means I don't want to date. Like you think about that and you're like, well, what could I have done wrong?
Right.
Like, especially if you're still single 7 years later, you're thinking about.
You're right. You're remembering the last conversation you had.
Right. Because it's,
So you're right.
It's a rejection. It sticks
Yeah.
with you.
You're right. But I think, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I remember everyone who stumped me. All of them.
And the companies that have wronged you.
Yes, that too.
You have a whole list.
I have a list.
Checking it twice. All right, let's do another.
Okay.
Someone I've met before sent me this on Hinge. Hey, I know you. Perhaps relevant context. We do follow each other on Insta. I think we last saw each other maybe 2 years ago and met maybe 3 years ago. Is this just a friendly wave or is this in a Hinge romantic hello way? I would have assumed it was romantic, but I recently heard some friends saying that they do this to people they are not interested in for reasons I don't understand.
I think this is a romantic hello, like a way of engaging. No.
Absolutely. If it's anything else, they're being annoying. They're wrong. I think your friends who are saying hello to people they know on dating apps as if it's the mall are out of their fucking minds.
Right.
You're on a dating app. It is the roof.
Whole premise.
The whole premise. The roof of this place.
It's not like they saw
is
you in the hallway.
We are here to date. Yeah. And nothing annoys me more than people who talk to you for any other reason than I could hypothetically maybe date you.
Mm-hmm.
I think this person you should pursue.
That's how I would also message someone
Right.
that I was interested in, that we followed on. I haven't spoken to in 3 years.
It's an acknowledgement. It's an awareness.
Mhm.
It's letting you know, hey, we know each other. It's a little bit like it's a little awkward
Yeah.
because
I like it.
I like it. It's a big reveal. I'm attracted to you.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
I know you. It's it's fun.
You know
it's
what?
not too
I've been-
intense.
Right. Hey, I know you. I know you. Cool. What's been
Right.
going on? Now the conversation begins. We're talking about us.
Yeah.
That is, I think.
Go
this is-
for it.
I'm getting angry at the people who are
Telling her that
if you disagree with me, if you are saying hi to people you do not want to date at all on a dating app, you are wrong. You're mean.
Agreed.
You are wasting your time, their time.
No one wants to say hi to you if you're not trying to go out.
Fuck off. I've had a few instances on Hinge where I will like a profile, and the response is, I don't see us being anything romantically.
So why not? Why say?
But I just want to let you know, I think you're funny and I see your stuff all the time.
no.
There is many other venues to tell me this.
Right.
Without the,
Or you can
hey,
just not-
also I don't want to fuck you.
You could just not tell you that.
We're on a dating app.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that gets dumped on dating apps?
Yeah.
This is the place of not getting dumped.
I agree.
I-
Don't
I-
message anyone on a dating
I
app unless
unmatch
you were trying.
right away.
Smart.
I hope and I hit the unmatch button Like my finger's about to go through the phone. It makes me so angry.
I could agree with that. Why would you want to hear like a rejection that doesn't unnecessary?
Right.
An unnecessary rejection.
That is good hat.
Unnecessary rejection.
Let's do another.
Okay. I hired a TaskRabbit and he is hot.
Hot.
We spent the day and he came over to paint, getting to know each other.
Well,
to music. I mean,
he was paid.
He is working
That
there.
is a gigolo.
It's not like he did it for free.
Yeah.
Listening to music and sharing funny stories. He asked to hang out later in the week, but before our meeting, he clarified he only wants something casual. I said, thanks, but no thanks. Now I'm reconsidering it because your girl needs to get laid. Should I text him? And if so, is something along the lines of, hey, reconsidering your offer appropriate?
It is appropriate as long as you can handle it.
That's why I was gonna say, I don't think she should do that.
I can't tell her what to do.
Trust your instinct. I can. Sorry.
Could you? I like this guy. He fixed your
I like-
closet.
yeah.
Mr. Fix It.
He's done everything right.
He's done everything more than right. This guy is
He's a hero.
He's a hero. Yeah, he is a gem.
He should get a street named after him in his hometown.
He is Allie Raisman heroic. He is, because he knows he's got you.
Yeah.
You had a great day together that you paid for, by the way. You didn't
That's
go on a
true.
date.
He's Julia Roberts.
That's right. You got this guy
Pretty
with
woman.
his pretty woman tool belt on, and you fell for it, and good for him, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got a little soppy in your panties because Mr. Fix-It hung your posters.
Yeah.
And now this guy held back from being the animal, the dog that is within him, and warned you,
Yes.
this dog bites.
I'm a wolf.
Right.
I'm a wolf in wolf's clothing.
Right.
Yes.
So
which is great.
he has done you the greatest favor in the world.
He's gotten ahead of it.
He has gotten ahead
This
of
isn't
it.
his first time hooking up with someone whose wall he painted.
Right.
That's what I'll
He's
say.
done this before.
Yes.
So, that all being said,
He is never going to date you.
he is
Just remember
never
that.
going to date you. Make this your fucking ringtone.
Yeah. So paint it on your walls
Right.
on top of whatever he painted.
He's never gonna date you.
Yes.
He'll go down on you and fuck your brains out while holding a hammer, but he'll never meet your mother.
Exactly.
Remember that.
Yes.
I had to sing it from the rooftops.
Yeah. And if all that being said, if there's no chance that he's going to date you, no matter how many times you have sex.
He has told you what he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
If after all that you've decided you can sleep with him without catching feelings, as they say,
Mhm.
or feeling like, or if you do catch feelings and you're saying I'm okay with that, then I'm going to be a little hurt when this doesn't end well, or he doesn't want
Right.
to date me. If you know yourself, I don't know you. I don't know how well you can do that.
Mhm.
If you can do that really well and know that he's never, ever, ever going to date you, then yeah, that text is fine.
Right. You have to treat this guy like the rain.
Okay.
So if she's gonna pursue, the minute you get a little sprinkle on you, hey, I might need to go inside. You can't blame him for doing what lions do.
Right. He's presented a very accurate contract.
Right. So if you go and hook up with him and then you start getting feelings, treat it like the rain. I think I could handle it another week.
Mm-hmm.
I could stay outside 15 more minutes.
Then I'm calling an Uber.
Right.
I'm not walking
So
anymore.
you have to exit on your own. Don't make it his problem, your feelings.
But I would say if your initial instinct was a no thanks, I think you're less likely to be
Right.
able to handle that. And I would
Fair.
generally suggest going with your instinct on these things. But,
Fair assumption.
you know, you live and you learn.
Okay, let's do another.
Okay.
How long can you ethically date, aka go on dates with multiple guys? Guy I went on 2 dates with was butthurt that I went on another date. Also, I start to feel guilty after dating 2 people around date 6, but it takes me longer to decide if I like someone. What do you think?
This was never be written by a man.
No.
I feel like men
mean,
do not feel guilty about this
I got a
kind
lot of
thing.
fuzzy math when it comes to how many dates we've been on.
Yeah.
We said what?
I think
This is hard though. I think this is the hard part about being single is like in a world where you're dating apps and you can meet multiple people. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I mean, let me ask you as a single person, how long would you feel comfortable dating someone?
I generally
people.
don't feel comfortable with it,
Dating 2 people at once.
but I do it.
Okay. How long would you do
I'm
it?
doing it uncomfortably.
How long would you do it? And after how many dates would you say I don't feel?
I don't
this
have a
doesn't feel
number.
right?
I don't have a number.
Okay.
I wish I did. I think the number is feelings dependent. If I feel like someone like is liking me, I do think like
You're
you
more
have
going to
a mo-
end it than not date someone else, though. Right.
I'd rather end it
Mm-hmm.
than if someone's like if we're not on the same page emotionally, and that takes a check-in, that takes being stronger than sometimes I'm able to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've gone on dates with like 3 different women in a week, you know,
Right.
and I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I also don't tell them that.
Yeah, that's the part that's weird to me is that the guy. How does the guy know?
Well,
I wouldn't tell someone I was going on another date. If I went on 2 dates with someone. Wouldn't tell
Yeah,
him.
I don't know how it comes up. Maybe he asked.
Right. I guess if he asked.
If
then
he
maybe.
asked and you were like if a woman asked me, "Are you going on dates with other women?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
After 2 dates, yeah.
Yeah, I would say it to them. And if they got mad, I would be like, "We're probably not the right match."
Right.
Because again, emotionally, we're not matching.
I'm not ready to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I to give this person a number, I can't because I've been on date 3 with one person and date 1 with another. And I don't feel right. I feel weird about it myself.
Well, I think the fact that men do this all the time, to me, like she's not doing anything. I don't think you can assume anything in dating. So I think
Right.
you shouldn't feel bad unless you've had a conversation with the person where you've said you're not going on other dates.
Right.
And that's a conversation that I think needs to be had. I don't think you can ever. I would never assume a guy was not going out with anyone else unless I asked him.
Right. Yeah.
You could be like, I feel a little hurt by that because we spend so much time together, or we've gone out so much, or I feel like we've super connected. But I wouldn't. They haven't done anything wrong.
Right. I think that's why like practicing speaking in I terms with dating is like a good practice.
Right.
I am enjoying our time. I am not dating other people. And that's the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are sitting there like dating someone and you're only dating them and you want the information of whether they're dating other people, that's a good thing to say to them.
Right.
But if you don't necessarily care at a certain point, then don't say that yet.
Yeah, but I don't think you owe anyone anything
No.
until you discuss that.
No, and if the guy got mad, I actually would question like what's going on here. Like
Right.
I don't think anger
After 2 dates,
Right.
especially.
Those are our lightning round questions.
Let's do it. We got more. We'll do them next time.
I love doing
Every
lightning
night,
round questions. I love when we mix it up like this.
These are great.
We have one more last segment. This episode is brought to you by Nyx Cosmetics. Hope you've been stretching those swiping thumbs and readying your first date small talk because cuffing season is coming up quick. But don't stress. You can find your perfect match with just one swipe with Nyx Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush. Here it is. We have it right here in front of us. This is a nice case.
I was saying that before. Packaging is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Fits. Is blush something you carry around? Is this like a go-to?
Yeah, it's great to put in your purse. If you got a date, you can touch up in the bathroom. You can
Right.
apply it at home.
I like
Great-
the
they have
feel of this in my hand.
Great selection of
Yeah.
colors as well.
We've partnered with Nyx Cosmetics to bring you some stories from the dating world that will make you blush. Whether you want to be single or partnered up this fall, it doesn't matter. Send us your blush-worthy stories, and we might just share them. To get you all warmed up, we're going to start with our own dating stories about a situation that made us blush. Well, Jordana, what's your blushing story?
My blushing story. I would say my blushing story is when I was single and I was getting frustrated because I wasn't meeting anyone when I was out. And my therapist suggested that I approach other people. Felt like that I was giving off a fuck off vibe, potentially. I don't know what made him think that. He said I should be more outgoing and I should approach like men. I shouldn't like wait for them to approach me or seem standoffish. So I was like, my first weekend after this session, I was like getting ready to go. I went out and I was like, I'm going to try this out. So I went out and I did that. I started speaking to a guy. I wouldn't normally have done that. We talked. We wound up hooking up. And then I was like, wow, that went really well. We exchanged numbers. And then I forgot what year this was, but I added him on Facebook.
Oh.
And then he texted me and he was like, hey, like had a great time. Think you're really cute. I'm I'm kind of seeing someone or something. So basically, when I found this is like
You're the other woman.
Basically, he had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So it was like my experiment in being, going out and approaching others.
Right.
Really backfired on me as I wound up going for the only unavailable man.
And this guy's like, a woman just walked up to me. How am I going to say no?
Right.
Like in his eyes, he's like, I gotta fuck her.
And then I never spoke to another man in the wild ever again.
We ruined it for you.
But yeah, that was my cheeky, kind of embarrassing experience for
I
myself.
paid that therapist to tell that woman to
Right.
go
I was
talk
like, and then
to
I go to the
people.
therapist. I'm like, this is what happens when
Right.
you're outgoing.
What's wrong with these men? Yeah.
Right.
It's a great story.
Thank you. What's your blushing
Mine,
story?
I had mine. I was gonna like talk about like how my brother gave me this great gift and it made me feel so good and now your story makes me think of something else where I was embarrassed.
Let's hear it.
And I was on a dating app. This was years ago, I remember, and it was when Hinge was built on mutual friends.
Okay.
So your Hinge account
Yes.
used to
That was their whole appeal.
their whole appeal was that you were hinging off of the relationship of someone else you knew in common.
Yes.
And the people you knew in common was connected to Facebook.
I loved that prospect. of
Right.
theirs.
And it's a good idea in theory because, I'm sure they had to open it up to more to make money and all that stuff. But like the original thing, as most apps, they start in a really good place.
Yeah. Your friend of a friend.
Right. And we would say that here.
Ideal scenario.
So I'm swiping on Hinge and it was like very early of Hinge being a thing. And I remember and this one girl came up and I matched with her and I was like, wow, she like knows all my friends and this is great. And then we matched and I was like, oh my God. Well,
I know you've seen her somewhere in like social media, maybe.
yes,
before.
I've seen her in other places. I'm like, my type. I'm like, you get excited about a match.
Especially
And
one that sort of seems sort of vetted by
Right.
friend of a friend.
that was the whole thing. I was like really emotionally masturbating this like, oh my God, this person could be like the person I should be with.
Right.
And I go to, instead, I think I sent a message and didn't get anything back. And then I was stuck on it,
Okay.
So I was like, and why, when we're doing the lightning round questions, like the beauty of an app is you don't get turned down very often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a very non-public way to be in public.
Right.
If you think about
To
it.
shoot your shot.
Right.
Right.
So I messaged, no answer. And I went to one of our mutual friends who I knew because that's how the app was made. And I texted him, I go, do you know this chick? And he's like, oh my God, she is the coolest. She was in this sorority, I think went to Penn State. He's like, that girl, that chick is great.
Catch.
Catch.
Okay.
And so now I'm like, my friend likes her. I'm like, this is like
You built her all up in
the
this is
build
your future
up.
girlfriend.
This person is blown up like a balloon at this
Right.
point. And I go, well, we matched on a dating app, and I sent a message, and he's like, oh my God, really? And I was like, can you find out like the deal, right?
Okay. Men always do this. Can you find out the deal before we've even like responded to you?
Right.
It's like, how do you even know we're into you?
Well, we matched on the app, but also like,
Right.
guys are more.
You guys ask around.
We ask around.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What's the deal? Are they seeing anyone? What's their reputation? How
Right.
do you know them? It's a little bit who they fuck. Have they fucked anyone we know?
Interesting.
Right? Like, oh, are they dating anyone? Like, especially Penn State, close circles.
Have they
So-
hooked up with any? Would that deter you?
It would just deter. I don't know. Depends on the guy.
Depends who.
Yeah. So,
Is she a virgin?
so he comes back like a week later, and he's like, "Dude, she said her friend was using the app and swiping for her,
Oh,
and
That's annoying.
didn't know how to like play it." And I'm like totally embarrassed because now instead of like
Messaged, you've
secretly
asked.
failing,
right.
I've brought a friend in who's like letting me know.
It was an accident.
Is
It was
this
almost
an
like
accident?
She's all that.
Right.
It was all a big prank.
I was dressed for prom, and she drove by and egged my
Exactly.
house.
Is that she's all that?
One
was
of
that
those.
She's all that? I was trying to think which
Right.
one that was. Sorry, go
It's
on.
one of those
yeah.
movies.
That's never been kissed.
Never been kissed.
Never been
Yeah, you're
kissed.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. David Duchovny. No, what's the guy?
Drew Barrymore.
But the
And
brother's
Da-
the weirdest
David
part.
Arquette.
Yeah, David Arquette's the weirdest part.
Right.
Of that
Yeah, where
movie.
he's pretending to be in. That's a great movie. We should review
Right,
it.
he's going
Yeah.
to be a baseball player again.
Yeah.
So okay, well, yeah. So that's and I
Aw.
fully felt the blush
Right.
of
What is-
NYX
what-
Cosmetics.
Whatever happened to her?
I don't know. No, with that stuff, run away, Jared.
Okay.
Run. I don't even remember the name.
Joke's on her. Now
yeah.
you're a famous comedian.
That's right. Living in a
She blew it. It's like the
living in
skater
a
boy.
Studio 39.
That's a great story, though.
That is a memorable, embarrassing, blushing, dating, fall in your face, and a little bit publicly because, like, you know, the beauty of a dating app is also the problem with the dating app is it's concealed, it's in an alleyway, no one's gonna find out about this. That's why people act gross.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you bring it out to the streets and then have your friend realize that.
Well, that's the beauty and the detriment of Hinge. I guess you can find out these things.
Right. So that's it.
Love it. Thank you again to NYX Cosmetics for sponsoring today's episode. The new NYX Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush is here to help you get that perfect flush. It's highly pigmented, so one swipe is all you need. With 12 shades in both soft matte and glowy finishes, you're bound to find your perfect match. And at just $10 per blush, you can test out different shades before committing because you never know until you try. And let's be real, finding the right blush is way easier than finding the one. And you can try NYX Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush for yourself by visiting nyxcosmetics.com. That's nyxcosmetics.com.
Well, Jordana, we solved dating again.
We did it.
Great work.
Proud of us.
In
Keep
60
sending
minutes
in.
flat.
Look
we
at
really,
us.
This was a lightning round if there ever was one. We'll be back on Sunday with our special guest, Caitlin Bristow.
Amazing guest. Great episode.
Oh.
Bye. The U Up podcast is produced by Belle Roman and Candice Maniga. Editing by Belle Roman. Social media by Candice Maniga. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.